marketing the Parks and Recreation for us?
Well, let me tell you, of course, my name is Nancy Neal, and my official title is Indoor Recreation Coordinator. And prior to me having this position, they had an actual marketing position, and the budget cut that position, so they moved me into this one that I'm in, but that's basically the position I'm in is over the community and the senior centers. Well, just by its very nature, you have to have marketing. If you have all these classes and all this stuff going on, you have to have marketing. So I carried those marketing duties with me to this position I'm in now. Didn't change offices, just sort of changed hats, or just really added a hat. And so now for the last 8 years, I've done the marketing for all of the Parks Department, not just indoor recreation. I do it for outdoor recreation. I do it anytime, we've closed the restrooms for the winter, so those types, anything that has to do with parks, then I'm the one who sends those out. And so my duties, of course, are news releases. We do news releases for our activities or announcements, cancellations, those types of things. We also do, I actually create the ads for several monthly newspapers around town. We have Lubbock's Home and Family, and the Southwest Digest comes out twice a month. We have one in each of those. We do, with our contract with the AJ on the Make Kids Count program, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute, but we get an ad, as part of that deal, we get an ad in the friendship section of the AJ, and so I normally do that on the first, it comes out on Thursday or Friday, and so I usually try to hit the first one of the month, or like the last one, like this month, next week it's the 28th, and Saturday is the 1st, and so I'm doing my March one basically on that week, and I kind of list the highlights for the month in those ads. And then we have one that's strictly for our seniors, the Golden Gazette, and we have a full-page ad that I do in that each month. So there's those duties. Well, now we're working on the social medias, and they finally gave us permission about 1.5 years ago to have our own Facebook page. So that was a big deal for us. And so we're up to over 1,400 likes, so we're feeling pretty good about that. We know that's not, compared to some of the really national ones or whatever, that's not very many. But for us, we think that's just pretty good. And then at the first of this year, we added Twitter. I hired a part-time PR assistant. We got that position approved last year, and I was able to hire one in late fall. I think it was in November. And so one of her things was, and she's a student at Tech as well, one of her deals was to get us started on Twitter because, I only have so much time and I'm already stretched as it is. And so prior to having an assistant, I didn't take Twitter on, even though 6 or 8 months ago I had basically approval to be able to do it. But that one, I understand that Twitter is a little more, you want to be out there, you want to pop stuff out there periodically, you have to be more in tune with it, you have to really be posting more or tweeting more. Yeah. And so we've only just gotten that one since the first of the year, and I think we have maybe 81 followers or something. So you can go out and follow Lubbock Parks, okay?
There you go.
Just so you can do it. So my assistant Thea, she tweets some stuff out, and then I will tweet stuff out, and then the city of Lubbock has their own public information office, and they're the ones who I'll funnel my news releases to them, and then they shoot it out to everybody in the world. Okay. Which is kind of nice for me because basically I shoot it to him, and then he's responsible for putting it in a PDF and basically sending it to the newspapers, TV, radio, whoever's on the list. And so it makes it easy for me. We do it all through email. And we also, last year, I started Pinterest up, and Thea's really taken that one on. Because, you have to tie those things kind of together, so we've got some folks, different cities following us following them. And some of our citizens, depending on what we put out there. The next one I want to get into is Instagram. and they've just ordered me an iPad so that I'm able to do it. Because I tried doing it on the computer, and you really have to have a device that it ties it to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I have it on my personal phone, but I don't want,
Mix them up.
you know, I don't want it attached to my name or my phone or whatever. And so finally, I'll get to have that. And the beauty of that is also is, you know, when you're in the social medias, it doesn't end at 5 o'clock on Friday.
Yeah.
So you have to be conscious of it out there. You have to be checking it periodically. And so it has added a whole new dimension to the PR aspect that really hadn't been there before. And a whole level of trying to, you know, reach the people and stuff. I'm a photographer. I'm not a professional photographer. So I am used to actually being on the other end of the camera.
Okay.
Yeah.
I also go to our events and I take video and I take still pictures. So I use those in a lot of different things. One of the things that we got into last year is there's a program out on the internet called One True Media. And there may be better ones out there, but this one it's basically not that expensive, $3.99 a month or something like that. And basically, you can take your stills and your video clips and put them together into a little program. And they have some music that you can pick from, not a whole lot, but enough where, you know, you can have some music. But they also have about maybe 40 or 50 themes that you can pick from so that you can fade in, fade out, or you can fade in where it turns and drops leaves down and all this
It's all
fun,
festive.
cool stuff. And so we started trying to use some of that. And the beauty of that is that it does download into something that you can put on TV. And so we're able to download those, send them to our public information office, and then the city of Lubbock has cable channel 2. And so most of the time it's just scrolling different slides across it or whatever, but this way they'll actually put the video out there, and so we can promote our events through that. And so that's yet another way we have that we're trying to promote our things.
There we go.
It's a lot.
Yeah. But the more the better, so.
When you think of that, and then you think of over all the centers too, Kinsey understands what that means probably, that it can sometimes be quite the juggling match to try to get everything done that you need to get done.
I can only imagine.
So, what, question?
Yes. Who would you say are the target market? I mean,
Moms.
moms especially.
Moms.
Moms, because moms are the ones that make those marketing decisions. I mean, think about your life, okay? When you had the weekend and you were going to figure out what you guys were going to do as a family, who 9 times out of 10 had control of that?
Mom.
Moms, that's right.
What did your dad say? Ask your mom.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Ask
right.
your mom.
And so moms are the ones that, for me, it's our main target. But we have senior programs too, so you can't necessarily, basically, you can't be so tunnel focused on that aspect. You've got to try to be able to cross all the lines. The thing with Parks and Recreation is, we had a speaker at one of our state conventions, you know, that basically we have our customers from birth to death. I mean,
True.
basically, we have Mommy and Me classes for kids that are not even hardly walking, all the way up to our senior centers where we have them in their 90s, and they keep coming until they pass on or have to move closer to their kids or whatever. So we have folks in all of those age groups. And our outdoor area, they have adult recreation leagues, and we've got 3 sessions a year of softball and kickball. We have 2 sessions a year of flag football. We have baseball, basketball. We may add dodgeball later this year. We've got a gym coming online for us. None of our centers have gyms, and the Maggie Trejo Super Center that's north of 4th and east of Indiana, they tore the school down right next to us. But they basically made a deal where we took the gym, and we took the rest of that property and folded it into that park that's already there. And so now we'll actually have, it's a small gym, it's an elementary gym, but it's better than anything we had.
Yeah,
So
better than nothing.
that'll be yet another thing we're gonna start doing. So when you think of those demographics, that's really the younger folks that are doing it. Though they do have some that are senior, maybe one league on the softball that has majority of seniors in it, but these are young guys, but they tend to be family guys as well. We do have some that are single, but a lot of them are young, maybe have young kids or kids, and they still want to be involved in some sort of sport activity. So there's that avenue, and I have found that Facebook, that's where we get a lot of those, is on the Facebook. Kelly Christie works, she's one of the assistants in the public information office, I don't think he's an assistant, but we have our public information officer, and then he has two people that do the camera and the social medias and the video and all of that stuff. So she's one of those, and we were talking recently about, she does the social media for the city as a whole. Because some departments, they really don't have that much, and so what their needs are not the same as what ours are. We really have to have our own standalone because we have so much. And we were talking, she was talking about her Facebook. She said her Facebook are older people. If she puts the weather out there, she's got 300 something checking it out or something, you know. Whereas if I were to do that, I don't think anyone would look at it. Ours are more younger, and I think some of it's because we'll do the cancellations. OJ, who's our athletic guy, basically he's told the captains, coaches, whatever of those adult leagues that, you know, we're going to put it here, we're going to put it here, but we're going to put it on Facebook. So I have found that a lot of them now look for it on Facebook, and where even in late fall when we had, I think it was November, where we had some of that bad weather and they were still playing softball, some guy messaged me on Facebook, are we canceling the games for tonight? So it's like, OJ, canceling those games? So they're starting to look for that information there. So I think that's a real plus.
How do you guys determine what type of sports to keep? I mean, what type of feedback do you guys get back in order to keep, like, softball, kickball?
I think, you know, they've been going for a long time. We added the kickball, it's probably been 4 years ago maybe. And so they tried one session of it, and it worked. And now it basically runs concurrently with the softball. So and we have some guys that play on both of them. And some are co-recs, so you got the ladies and the guys out there playing together. You see a lot of husband and wife type things doing that. It's a lot of fun for them. So basically, you test the waters, and if it's successful, we also have volleyball. That's another one that we have. And so if it's working, or if you're overwhelmed, like the kickball went over really well, so they added the 2 extra sessions after that. So basically, it's, if they sign up, you know you're on the right track. Then it's just keeping them.
With all of our community centers, we do the same thing with all our classes. Anything that we want to try, we test it out. If it makes, it makes. If not, it's okay. It didn't hurt us.
I know, and sometimes, like, in that regard, like our classes, because Hodges, where Kinsey works, they basically, we put 3 guys a year out. They have 10-week sessions, so they, in essence, have 3 sessions a year. And they do some that are just Saturdays. One Saturday, they do a pirate adventure thing for preschoolers that they did just recently. And so sometimes, depending on when you put that, it might not work at a certain time of year, at a certain time. We have found that really good ideas, if it doesn't work the first time it's out there, and you have the luxury of maybe the instructor is teaching something else or it's staff putting it on, you can offer it again maybe at a different time, because y'all know how the fall is. We have football games on the weekends. We have this, and this. Mm-hmm. We found that in January there's not as much going on, and so sometimes that's when the parents, they're always looking for stuff for the kids, but sometimes in late December, January, I'm getting the calls, what's happening in the spring, as soon as the first of the year's over, because they're looking for those activities for their kids. Because there is no giant football games. I mean, there's basketball and stuff like that, but it just never seems as intense as September, October, November, December time period. And so sometimes you just have to keep putting them out there. Or if only 2 people come to that first class and your maximum is 10, and your instructor will teach it, we encourage the instructors to do that if they have 2 or 3. Because sometimes it's that word of mouth. Word of mouth can be really important. And so if you get somebody that really likes it, they may sign up for the next session and bring their friends along. We have one instructor out at Hodges that she had Miss Chris.
Oh.
I don't know if you saw that.
Miss Chris classes, she teaches a Music Connections class, which is a mommy and me, and they learn little songs. Her classes maxed out the very first week. We actually have to have pre-registration just for her class.
But she had, I'm trying to think, I thought she had
She has a class Monday,
60 on the $75 and 22 kids on the 70 a week, a session. And basically we pay our instructors, we pay a 30-70 split. We keep 30% and they get 70%. So and then you pay them halfway through. Well, hers for just halfway through for all her classes was a couple of $1,000.
Yeah.
She's our stellar. She's our.
Yeah. We love Miss Chris.
But she markets her classes really well because you can't. What we found is if an instructor just relies on the guide going out, it may not make.
Yeah.
It might, but it may not. But if you've got your own little media thing going and you're emailing friends. And I think she gets their emails and stuff
Yes.
like that, so that she's able to then, as you have those satisfied customers, they come back again and again. And so my grandson and granddaughter are in one of her classes over at Hodges on Mondays at 9.
Yes.
So, and that's
Her first class.
it's her, but it's their second or third time they've done
Yes.
that class. I think the first time we did it, she wasn't old enough because she just turned 2. And so we didn't do it that first time, but that was in the spring, last spring. And then my grandson did a little Wii sports class where every 2
Oh,
weeks you
cool.
change what the sport is for 10 weeks. And then when they came back in the fall, then we added my granddaughter in with that too, so
Nice.
really fun.
Wii sports class. That's cool.
It is, because, and it's funny, I got to go out and watch, I like to go watch them, and they put the little bases out, they were doing kickball, and it was so funny, and trying to get the kids to, move from base to base, they're 3 to 5-year-olds, so, yeah, they didn't, the younger ones especially just didn't get it, but they enjoyed it, they have fun, they're running around, so I think it's kind of a taste of it.
That's entertaining.
That's not the marketing stuff, so maybe we should get back to the marketing.
That's fun. It includes in our stuff too.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question. What would you say that are areas for improvement with y'all's marketing?
More money.
More money. That's,
We get $28,000 a year. Now, if you're aware of local businesses, especially the larger ones, you know that $28,000 a year is a drop in the bucket. And the guides cost about $6 a piece, so that takes 18 right off the top. So that leaves me about 10,000. So I have to do stuff on a shoestring. I think the thing that we benefit from is I've been doing the marketing for 10 years, and so I've learned that if you write those news releases the right way, in fact, I discovered it by accident. Southwest Digest, P.J. Patterson, who used to be our city councilman for that side of town, he's the editor of that. And he's not a journalist per se. It was him and another guy, and they started it years and years ago. And they were getting older, and actually his partner passed away several years ago, and he's up there in age himself. So, and they don't have the money to be able to hire folks to be going out and getting stories. So I've learned probably 6 or 7 years ago that if I wrote it so that it was very readable, he was taking the news releases and putting the whole thing in the paper without making any changes to it. And I have found that to be true for, not like the AJ doesn't do that, though they'll take snippets. I can always tell when they've taken something out of the news release, because the events they cover are the ones that I've been covering the last 10 years, so if it comes around every year, you know, I update the news release, but I don't normally make a lot of changes to it. So what I found is that the media is very receptive to covering our stuff. So that's the free way, you know, that's one of those free ways that you are able to benefit from that. Because we find that on the radio, a lot of times, where they have those morning talk shows, they'll just be, you know, they'll have all the different news releases. Well, the CLO, they've got their softball registration going on, and, you know, they might, him and whoever it is, you know, because it's usually in pairs or whatever, so they're having a little conversation about it, or the Easter egg hunt, or pumpkin trail, or whatever it is. And so that's stuff that, unless you hear it on the radio, you don't always know what's going on there. But we get a little bit of feedback. Anytime anybody hears it somewhere, you know, we basically try to, you know, they try to let us know that. I do the interviews as well. I'll go on TV and radio.
Oh, really?
KFYO, Tom Collins and Laura Mack. It's a AM station, talk radio. I think it's from 6 to 8:30. And so about a year and a half ago, he discovered me. And so now he's got my number. And one example, a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting on the couch drinking a cup of coffee. It was 6:20, and I get a text. Ding! I'm like, oh, who's calling me? I figured it's a staff person calling in sick. No, it was Tom. He wants to know, are you up? It's like, yes. So he wanted to talk about, the AJ had done an article about playgrounds. Basically we're kind of on every year we replace so many playgrounds so we can keep them current, so that they're safe and all of that stuff. And so he did a story, I think it was Adam Young did a story on the playgrounds and how much money we spend on them and that type of thing. So that's what Tom wanted to talk about, which thankfully our director had given me some information about it recently. That was a list of what we've done and then what we were doing this year. So I knew what we had done last year, what we did this year, and then the AJ guy had asked for dollars, so he resent that and carboned me on that too. So then I was able to pull that up at the house on my computer, and then at 10 to 7, went on the air for 10 minutes. Radio. I mean, not radio, by phone. He called me. And so I talked about it for, 10 minutes.
Cool.
And granted, Tom, if you ever listen to it, he gave us his little spiel first, so some of his stuff is more political sometimes, and so, well, do we really want to spend $1.3 million on playgrounds? And basically, they're about $195,000 to $198,000 a piece. But that's the foam stuff they put under them and all of that stuff. And so he was kind of talking like that. Well, because of a program we did this last summer called I Love Parks and Recreation for National Parks and Recreation Month, which was in July, we had a contest, and this lady had Facebooked in that, which got their name in the hat for a prize, basically that she loved Parks and Rec because she has a toddler, and there are neighborhood parks all over the city, so if they're out shopping and stuff, and she needs to take her to the park and let her diffuse a little because she's getting too antsy or whatever, then, that's what she loved about parks, because she could go to just about any neighborhood and find a playground and be able to let your kids play in.
Sure.
And so that's what I told them. It was a quality of life thing. So I was able to pull from that little contest thing we did on there, and then pull it into that interview 6 months later, who knew you were going to need that, but
Yeah.
to prove the point that, you know, parks are a quality of life thing, and yes, it's worth that $1.3 million to do that.
There you go.
So,
Compared to cities Lubbock size, how would you say that we're doing in the marketing aspect? Are we right up there with them, or are we lacking anything?
I think we are in the middle. I think that there are cities of our size that do a lot more than we do, especially in the larger areas, but their tax base, like your Dallas-Fort Worth area, your Arlingtons, or, I mean, their demographics are different, their tax base is different than ours, so they have a lot, and maybe they even have a smaller area to deal with than what we do. And so I find that they can be sometimes cutting edge because they have the dollars to, you know, we have pens to give away, that's about it. You know, they have water bottles, t-shirts, visors, you know, all with their Parks and Rec stuff on it. Yeah, we don't have that at that point, at this point. On the other hand, there are some cities that do not allow their Parks Department to do any social medias.
That's odd, especially for this day and age.
Well, the problem is fear for governments, and that's what kept us. I would have been in it a couple of years earlier had they allowed us, because you see that trending out there, and you know that it's free, and so my goal is to take advantage of every free thing that you can. But the fear is somebody's going to say something bad or negative or whatever. And so that's the fear. And is it going to leave them liable for stuff? Or is it considered an open records request if they ask for information? So, I mean, it was those kinds of things. But as we've gone through it, we get very few negatives. And the cities, when we go to the state conferences, there have been sessions on that, so you get feedback from the other folks around the state. I mean, they found that if there was a negative, sometimes the other citizens out there would defend the parks and call whoever out on it that was making that comment. Now, we really haven't had that as an issue, but it turns it to that positive. Of course, us in the marketing tend to think of it as a positive. Even if you get negative comments, if you can correct, if they have misinformation or whatever, it's your opportunity to correct it, to defend it, whatever, in front of the audience that's out there looking at your stuff. And so it can be, to me, it could be a positive. Not all cities think that.
Yeah.
So in that regard, I think we're kind of, like I said, in the middle.
Nice. How do y'all come up with like new ways, or how do y'all decide on new ways to market? Like, do y'all have like a committee that does that, or is that something y'all just do departmental wide? It's all of you? All by yourself?
All by myself. Well, I have an assistant.
Okay, you have an assistant, all right.
But it is all me.
Mhm.
You know, I will tell you, my frustration is my boss Johnny and our director Randy are not on Facebook or Twitter.
Huh.
So they can't even see what we're doing
The things
out
you're
there.
doing, yeah.
You know, when I go take pictures at mom and mother,
Son.
yeah, mom and son, and then the daddy-daughter, I put those pictures out on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, because people figured out, I know some of them are on Facebook because they were liking the picture of their kids or whatever, and they were
Yeah.
sharing them,
yeah.
and doing that stuff. And they can't see any of that, so they don't really comprehend.
How special it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much really good it can do, especially in
Mhm.
terms of photos. Because I posted one out during Pumpkin Trail. Now, do y'all know what Pumpkin Trail is?
No. It's on 19th Street, right?
It's on
University.
University, right by Hodges.
Yes.
Basically, we've done it 5 years in a row, and it's really taken off. And we asked the public to donate carved pumpkins.
That's right, yeah.
And then they bring them to us, And the Arboretum has these trails out there.
It's really nice trails.
Yeah, really nice trails, great walking, area to walk in, because it has trees and a little different than just flat old Lubbock.
Yeah.
And so then we put them out, we get them in on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we put them out during that time, and then we open on Thursday night, and we light them with candles. And last year we had 1778.
Wow.
So 1,778 pumpkins. So we had to, we got a few more than we had about that we had maybe 50 or 60 less than that last year. And so we had to extend the trail like that Thursday. So luckily they have that circular garden thing out there, and we had just sort of you just kind of hit one edge of it, well, we ended up going around the outside edge. And so last year we got 17,000 that came through in the 4 nights in 3 days.
Do you remember
That's
how many
crazy.
people? I don't, off the top of my head.
17,000.
17,000.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, about 2,500 came during the day, because we do allow them to come out there during the day. And a lot of moms will do play dates, or if their kids are littler and coming out at night, might scare them
Kinda
or
nerve-wracking,
something,
yeah.
or whatever, then they'll bring them out. And it's wheelchair and stroller friendly. And so
Wow.
it's very cool.
That is.
Very cool.
17,000
So 4 nights,
people.
yeah, the 3rd weekend in October. If you're darn busy, you should come out on those nights, because it is
I remember
very
hearing about it like
cool.
on the radio and stuff. And I was like,
Yeah,
what is
that's
this?
that's where they really, that's where I'm the most stressed, is during that, because if it's a make or break. The pumpkins make it. So if I don't
Mhm.
get the public to donate pumpkins, then we don't have an event.
Mhm.
And since I'm the only one doing it, then, especially this last year, they came in like really slow or something.
Yes, they did.
And, man, I was stressing till the week of, and then I started, then it got out. And then actually Tom Collins, he started having me on like that week before. He was going to